In this video, we are going to look at everything you need to pass Cambridge B1 Preliminary Speaking. You are going to find out what the different parts look like, the best strategies for each part, as well as some practical examples. Are you ready?
Take your mark.
Freestyle final.
Oh no! Oh my gosh, this is a disqualification.
Okay, that's not you. I'm sure you will be better than that, but anyway, let's get started. Hi and welcome to Teacher Phil, where I help people like you pass their Cambridge exams. The speaking paper in B1 Preliminary is only one of 4 parts, and it counts 25% to your overall score. The other 3 parts are reading, writing, and listening. In the speaking test, you have to demonstrate that you can respond to the examiner's questions, talk about a photo on your own, as well as have a discussion and try to reach a decision with a partner. All these different things are tested in 4 parts. In part 1, the examiner asks each candidate a few personal questions. It's like a warm-up. In part 2, the individual long turn, candidates need to describe a photo. In part 3, the collaborative task, this is the part where the candidates work together and discuss a topic based on pictures which they get from the examiner. In part 4, the examiner asks the candidates to discuss different questions which are linked to the topic in part 3. During the exam, there are always 2 examiners in the room. The first one, who asks all the questions and also makes sure that the timing is right, is called the interlocutor. The other examiner, the second person in the room, is the one who does all the marking. This person is called the assessor. In B1 Preliminary Speaking, there are 5 marking criteria that the examiners use to assess your speaking. Grammar and vocabulary, as well as pronunciation, seem pretty clear to me, and I don't think I will have to explain them to you in too much detail. However, for example, discourse management is a little bit more complex. It checks if you can produce longer stretches of language, if everything you say is relevant to the questions or the task, and if you can structure your ideas in a logical way. Interactive communication looks at how you can respond to the interlocutor as well as your partner or partners, and also if you can maintain a conversation and keep it going if it is about to break down. Last but not least, global achievement is, as the name suggests, a global mark that looks at your performance in general. It checks how well you deal with different topics and how well you structure your answers. The interlocutor only gives you the global achievement mark, while the assessor looks at all the other criteria. If you want to find out more about the individual marking criteria and what exactly each one requires, you can follow a link in the description box below that I left there for you. But for this video, that would be too much information. So let's move on to the individual parts. So far, we have looked at some of the basics of the speaking test in B1 Preliminary. But now it's time to go into a little bit more detail. At the end of this section, you will be familiar with the different parts and you will know exactly what to do. In part 1 of the speaking test, the examiner asks the different candidates questions about their lives. These questions can include a wide range of topics, from work or studies, over friends and families, plans for the future, experiences in the past, hobbies, likes and dislikes, and many more. The whole part is like a warm-up, and the interlocutor just tries to make the candidates feel comfortable and for them to get ready for the other parts of the test. But yeah, I'm already talking way too much, so let's look at a real example. Okay, so here we are, ready for a real example of a speaking exam. The two candidates are called Kenza and Mohammed, and let's see how they do in part 1.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can I have your mark sheets, please?
Here you are.
I'm Susan Watson, and this is Rada Roy Chowdhury. What's your name?
My name is Kenza.
Where do you come from?
I'm from Algeria.
Thank you. And what's your name?
My name is Mohammed
Where do you come from?
from Saudi Arabia.
Thank you. Mohammed, do you work or are you a student?
I work in a Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Thank you. And Kenza, do you work or are you a student?
I was a student, but I had finished at the university.
What do you do?
Now I have my own salon beauty.
Thank you. Do you think that English will be useful for you in the future?
Yes, I think that English is the most useful language in all the world because it permits us to achieve our objectives and to go farther than we think.
Tell us about the people you live with.
I live with my family in my country, and we have neighbors, and some of them are cousin of us, of me. Yeah.
Kenza, how do you get to work every day?
I generally get to work by car.
What did you do yesterday evening, Mohammed?
I've been rather gathering with my friends, and we go into one Middle East restaurant here in Cambridge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and just like that, part 1 is already done. Yeah, it's a pretty short part. It just takes around 2 minutes, as you can see here. And I think both candidates do a pretty good job as they give full answers, and as much as possible they also add some extra information. They explain their ideas a little bit more. They give examples and reasons. So I think both of them start quite well in this exam. Another thing that is often overlooked is the body language of the candidates. So when you're talking to the examiner or to your partner in the exam, always try to smile, try to be positive, to at least give the impression that you are comfortable and that you know what you're doing. Of course, it shouldn't be like an acting job or anything like this, but positive body language can also have a positive impact on your marks. So this is part 1, the warm-up for Kenza and Mohammed, and I will see you in a little bit for the second part. We could say that part 2 is where the exam really starts. In this part, you have to describe a photo on your own for about a minute, which means you don't have to interact with the other candidates nor with the interlocutor. It's just you and a picture and 1 minute. As I have helped prepare many candidates for this exam, I have found that there is a good strategy that you can follow. Describe the person or the people in the picture first. Talk about their appearance, what they are doing, and their possible feelings. Then describe their surroundings. Talk about where they are, what objects are around them, or if the people are doing anything with those things around them. It is like going from the center of the picture to the outside. I think it's a good strategy that helps you not to forget anything. This way you can give the interlocutor as much information as possible. But once again, without me talking too much, let's see how Kenza and Mohammed, from our real example, do in this part. So, welcome back to part 2 of Kenza and Mohammed's speaking exam. We've already done part 1, now it is time to look at part 2. In the first part, I just let the whole part play and then gave you my thoughts and feedback. In this part, I am going to stop after the first candidate and give my feedback on their turn, on my thoughts on their turn, and then we'll do the same thing for the second candidate. So without any further ado, let's get started with part 2.
Now, I'd like each of you to talk on your own about something. I'm going to give each of you a photograph, and I'd like you to talk about it. Kenza, here's your photograph. It shows someone getting information about something. Mohammed, you just listen. Kenza, please tell us what you can see in the photograph.
I can see a lady which is maybe connecting on a laptop and reading on a book. He is normally in a library, or I don't think she is at home. Maybe she is preparing for an exam, for getting more information. Maybe she is revising. That's it.
Talk about the place.
I can see that she is in a library. There are a lot of books, and she is sitting alone. As I said before, she is maybe revising or preparing for an exam or presentation or...
Thank you.
Okay, and just like that, that was Kenza's turn. So let's start with the positives. I think one thing she does very well is speculate about what might be happening in the photo using the present continuous, as we should when we talk about a photo. She says things like she might be revising for an exam or studying. Yeah? So always try to use the present continuous when talking about the actions in a photo. And she also speculates very well, because we can never be sure, or at least not 100% sure, of what exactly is happening in the picture. So Kenza uses expressions like maybe, she says I think or I don't think, and in combination with the present continuous, that's really good. Of course, as you saw, she stops after around 30 seconds. When she could say a lot more things. The examiner helps her a little bit and asks her to talk about the place. I think she could also talk a lot more about the person in the picture. She doesn't say anything about her appearance, her clothes, or anything like this, her body position, her hair. And so, as I said earlier in the video, always start with the person and then work your way out from there. Start with a person and then talk about objects, the background, the room, and so on. So now, let's move on to Mohammed and see how he does.
Mohammed, here is your photograph. It shows someone relaxing at home. Kenza, you just listen. Mohammed, please tell us what you can see in the photograph.
Yeah, I see one man, he's relaxing in his sofa and he left his mobile on the floor because he didn't want to distract by his mobile. And maybe he's a musician because there is one guitar just next to him. And maybe he just come from outside and he didn't take out his clothes. He just start to read and having one cup of tea and relaxing in his home. And maybe he's live alone because there's no one with him and his home is very tidy. There's no toys for his children or something. That's really maybe he live alone in his flat. And I think that the weather outside is cold because he didn't even...
Thank you.
All right, and that's Mohammed's turn. So first of all, I think Mohammed, he makes a lot of good observations in this turn. Yeah, he talks about a lot of different points here. The man, his clothes, his phone, the guitar, the phone I've already mentioned. But yeah, he talks about different things, even the weather outside, I believe. So that is really good. He also uses the present continuous most of the time to talk about what's happening in the photo. And he also speculates, just like Kenza did in her turn earlier. So there are a lot of good things. The one thing I believe Mohammed could improve is to be a little bit more structured in his turn. He jumps from one thing to the other. So one moment he talks about the man, then about the guitar, then again about the man, then about the phone, then about something outside. So he could, once again, start with the person, talk about everything connected to the person directly, like clothes, his appearance, what he's doing, and then from there work his way to the outside of the picture. But again, I think you did a good job, and I'll see you guys again for part 3. Part 3 is the first part where you communicate directly with your partner. The examiner gives you a situation and some pictures. Use these pictures to discuss the situation with your partner and make a decision based on the interlocutor's instructions. You have between 2 and 3 minutes of talking time, and the interlocutor will stop you when the time is up. Once again, let's move to my office and let's have a look at Kenza and Mohammed's turn in part 3. So here we are once again, this time for part 3 of Kenza and Mohammed's speaking test. As we've seen so far, they've been doing quite well in the first 2 parts, and let's jump straight into part 3 and let's see how they do here.
Now, in this part of the test, you're going to talk about something together for about 2 minutes. I'm going to describe a situation to you. A local football club is celebrating its 50th anniversary and wants to give its fans a gift. Here are some gifts the club could give. Talk together about the different things it could give and decide which the fans would like best. All right? Now talk together.
I think the calendar is perfect, or the t-shirt, because for me the calendar, I can see my club every day. When I just check in the date, I can see my club, and they are enjoying by the 5th anniversary for their, or 5th established for their club.
I think the t-shirt is the best idea. So if he had the t-shirt with him, he can always remember the team.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you can't wear the same t-shirt every day.
But at least you have it at home and you can see it, even if you don't wear it.
Yeah. And for this football, I think no, because I can't play football every day. If there is some students or from their fans, they can't play and keeping away from their studying or something.
I think it would be a good idea for the balloon football.
Yeah. And for this pair, no, because or if they have a lot of children and from their fans, they can give it to their children.
Yes.
For book or
For
album. I think it's album for pictures.
For pictures, yes.
Yes, it will be nice.
So that he can put all her pictures in this album,
Yeah.
and he can watch pictures whatever he wants.
Yeah, and you keep remembering your team
good.
by the cover. It's amazing.
Yes.
What about this bag? What do you think about this bag?
I don't think that it's a good idea.
But it's useful nowadays. You can use it for going to school or for going to the gym. You can put your tools.
But
Thank
still
you.
given.
All right, and that's already part 3. So again, you can see it doesn't take that long and time really flies when you are in an exam situation like this. So I think Kenza and Mohammed generally work really well together. They take turns. They both give their opinions quite clearly. They support their opinions. And they also react to what their partner says instead of just giving their opinion without any connection to their partner's thoughts. They also talk until the examiner or the interlocutor stops them, which is another important point. Just like in part 2, don't be afraid to keep talking until the examiner stops you. This is actually a good thing because you show that you can produce language for a longer period of time. So speak until the examiner stops you. So in terms of the individual differences, I think Kenza could support her ideas a little bit more, as her answers I feel are sometimes a little bit too short, whereas Mohammed does an excellent job here explaining his ideas a little bit more and giving a lot of reasons and examples to support his opinions. I also think that when they interact with each other, Mohammed is the one who leads the interaction a little bit more. He invites Kenza to speak a little bit more often. And so I think in general, he is a little bit more active than Kenza. But again, overall, I think both students do quite well here, even though Mohammed shows a little, I would say, better skills in this specific part. So we have only one part left, part 4, and I will see you for that in a couple of minutes. Last but not least, part 4 marks the end of the speaking test in B1 preliminary. Here, the examiner asks you and your partner to discuss different questions based on the topic in part 3 for about 3 minutes. In this part, it is very important that you listen carefully to what your partner says, so you can respond to their opinions and add your own thoughts. And so for the last time, let's go back to Kenza and Mohammed. And one last time, welcome back to part 4 of Kenza and Mohammed's speaking exam. So they are very close to the end of the test and there's only one part left. And of course, we're gonna watch it and I will give you my thoughts afterwards. So once again, and one last time, let's get started.
Which sports do you like?
I prefer football. I love football. I am my admirers football. I watch it. I play it. I am very interested about football. I watch it from when I was child. I rise with football. Yeah.
For me is swimming. I love swimming. I really enjoy swimming. It doesn't matter if it will be on summer or on spring. I love swimming in the swimming pool, but especially on the beach. It's my favorite activity to do.
Yeah, swimming help me sometimes to relax.
Yeah.
If I swim, that I lose my weight. I am like flying and
Yes.
like floating in the water.
Yeah,
It's
swimming
amazing.
permits us to be relaxed.
Yeah.
Why do so many people like football?
Because everyone can watch it, and if you have one team in your like hometown or your country, he won a lot of competitions that make a lot of supporters they have the same admirers and the same ambition about their teams. And for me, it's the best sport. Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yes, I agree. I think that football is an international sport. In every country, we can see that there is a lot of teams which play through footballs. Yes, I agree.
Do you have a favorite sports team?
Yes, for me it's the Algerian team.
Do you agree?
Yeah, for me, I have one favorite team. It's from England, Manchester United. I love this team. I go to Old Trafford 2 times. It was amazing. Yeah.
Is it a good idea to join a fan club?
Yeah. To take in ideas and to keep discuss about our team, what we missing on some positions, or if we need to have a new players, or we discuss about the Gomers if they have like one player that they decide to have a contract with him, if he good for this position or no. Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm not for this fan club.
Why?
Because I think it's a waste of time and I don't have enough time to study, so I can't go to this kind of activities.
Thank you. That is the end of the test.
Thank you.
All right, so there we go. Just like that, Kenza and Mohammed have finished their test. So I think in the last part, it is pretty much a continuation from part 3. We can see more of all the good things and all the things that both of them could improve. So just like in part 3, I think that they work together quite well. Yeah, both candidates react to each other in an appropriate way, and they give their opinions very clearly, and they support their ideas, sometimes with a little bit of help from the examiner. Sometimes she asks some additional questions, but I think in that area they do a good job. Once again, with Mohammed being a little bit stronger than Kenza. The same is true, in my opinion, for their overall language ability. I can see that Mohammed uses a wider range of vocabulary and grammar, even though the things that Kenza says are also quite good when it comes to grammar and vocabulary. But again, I believe Mohammed shows a little bit more skill overall. So again, I think both of them do a pretty good job and bring their test to a successful end. And of course, I'll send you back to my living room and I'll see you there. You can find a link to the full video as well as Kenza and Mohammed's results and some comments by the examiners in all the links in the description box below. Thank you for watching the video until the end. I hope you were able to take away a few useful tips and strategies for the speaking test in Cambridge B1 Preliminary. There are a lot of very useful resources online, like, for example, the video that we've just watched together, together with the marks of the students and the examiner comments, so you can get a good idea of what you need to do in order to pass the exam. But now you need to start practicing. As soon as you know who your partner is going to be, make sure that you practice a lot or ask your teacher if they can help you find a practice partner. If you want, I can also be your teacher. I offer speaking classes as well as some writing feedback and also general online classes. You can also find the full article to this video with a lot of useful language examples on my website. Once again, all the links are in the description box below. And I see you in the next video.